let's get started. All right, Coach. After 3-0 start, kind of those 3 games. Tell us what you liked about it, what you like to see going forward to improve on heading into this weekend.
I think, just the team chemistry. We're looking to get a quick start to the season and kind of build our chemistry. We had two really good scrimmages. We talked about that before, and kind of jump started us to the season. And then, these 3 games, trying different lineups, kind of working on that team chemistry, improving our defense and rebounding, and then working on our execution on offense. I think those were the main things we looked at for these 3 games. And then going into Utah BYU, just stepping up the level of play, and it's going to test our defense now. I mean, we're going to face two of the best 3-point shooting teams we'll face all year, and they have inside outside presence, and so we've got to be able to play full court, half court, lock in defensively, and also finish with rebounds against them. And BYU, they've changed their style of play a little bit. They're more up tempo now, so it's going to change, test us at defensive transition as well. So we're looking forward to this. Just the level of competition's got to step up, and we've got to be ready for that play. And then, returning home against Utah Tech, so it's a big week for us next week.
Yeah, we talked about a little bit the back-to-backs.
Yeah.
Getting ready for a tournament kind of atmosphere with the travel and that. How much will that test you, especially if BYU is going to be up tempo the second game?
Yeah, I think, there's a lot of things, elevation, playing back to back, and, sometimes you just got to play the schedule that's given to you. And so it just happened that we had the back to back. So, with the team, we're trying to really talk about, playing tournament style back to back. We have the MTE in a couple weeks that we're going to play 3 back to back to back. So I think it does prepare you for tournament play, and we've got to be able to step up and turn around that next day. And similar things they run, as far as, what they want to do on the outside as far as catch and shoot, but also BYU does have a little bit more up-tempo style. So being able to prepare for that. So it's going to test us a little bit with Scout, but I think it's good for us to get ready for tournament play.
Also, the atmosphere, you'll be in a completely different atmosphere than you have been.
Mm-hmm.
Just comment on that and what that kind of does for you to get you ready.
Yeah, I mean, we don't see a lot of that with the Southland Conference play, but I do think it does help us as far as entering an atmosphere where it's going to be close to sellout. You're going to have to go through the elements as far as the elevation, playing, against a Power 4 team, making those adjustments as a game goes, but also competing at a higher level to it. And so we saw a little bit of that with our scrimmages early on, but now we get to face it in a real game.
How much prepared more physically are you from this year, especially inside than you were last year against the Power?
I mean, we'll see Monday, but I think it's night and day compared to last year. It has helped with our, practice team that we have. We can compete a little bit at a higher level. It's more physical. People are getting banged up a little bit more, so you got to adjust to that. So I do think we're more prepared, but we'll see Monday. You got to go do it on the court. We've talked about that all year. We've got to be able to transition what we've talked about and now actually go on the court and do it and compete.
Where do you want to come out of these two, as you call them, the Power 4 games, a measurable metric, if you will? What I don't want to say goal, objective, something that you want to achieve in these moments.
Well, I mean, I keep talking about it. It's hard to judge, I guess, as a coach, but we've got to compete. We've got to go out there and kind of face, those teams. And I think last year when we faced, 3 top 10 teams, we weren't prepared for that, going into it. I thought we started the games, all 3 games, really well. We didn't finish those games well. So you got to compete all 4 quarters. If we can get it to the 4th quarter and it's a 1 or 2 possession game, anything can happen in those situations. So, but we've got to be able to withstand their runs. BYU's had unbelievable 3rd quarters. So looking ahead to BYU, they're a 3rd quarter team. Utah is just solid all the way around, and they can shoot the ball extremely well. So we've got to be able to stop kind of their 10-0 run to start the games. That's what they've had the last 2 games. So kind of different as we enter both the games, and it's going to be a quick turnaround. But I think I just keep coming back to compete. We've got to just lock somebody up defensively, and then offensively be able to execute and take advantage of where we have mismatches.
Obviously, last year you had a young team,
and
at times in the big games they got very starry-eyed.
Yeah.
By getting all the newcomers coming in, especially with experience, how much more do you think that can affect and kind of settle settle things down when there is a run at you?
I think it will. I mean, yeah, I keep going back to the scrimmages, but we had two postseason teams that we played in those scrimmages, and as a coaching staff, we did come away a little bit surprised that we were able to kind of face the moment, and compete in those moments and come out on top in those scrimmages. And so, I think going into our first three games, we were working on lineups and kind of team chemistry, and now we get a chance to compete again. So, you know, I think our players did step up in those moments. I think the players from last year have gained that experience. Our youth did come out a lot last year, and so I think now they have a little bit of experience and they're in different roles. I think hopefully the combination will help us in these games. But again, you never know until the ball is tipped up. So we've got to be able to show up at the moment and like I said before, just be ready to compete and withstand that through 4 quarters.
I think you're in a better position, obviously roster-wise, than a year ago to compete in these games.
I think so. I think we are a little deeper than we were last year. I mean, we're confident 1 through 14. We have a couple injuries, at the tail end of our roster. We're waiting for Paris to get back, but really we can go deep in our roster, and I think they're accepting the roles right now. And so I think in a game like this, especially with substitutions probably early on in the Utah and BYU games, you're going to see more players early, and then we can probably settle into kind of a lineup that we'll go with.
Is it still likely another month for Paris?
So it's probably like middle of December. She's been practicing about 50% of the practices, and then I think she's got one more follow up with her doctors before she's fully cleared.
Is there a target game that you're looking at?
Maybe Oklahoma State. If we could get her back there and then maybe have a game before Southeastern, that would be good. But she's looking good in practice. The times that she's in there in practice, she's looking good. No complications so far, and so hopefully we get that clearance from the doctor and she can go hopefully middle of December.
Is it important for you to get her a game or two before conference?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Just to get her, back in the flow of things, and I think it helps, with practice and against the practice team, and she kind of is getting back into the flow of things. But I think if we can get a game back before Southeastern, I think that would be good. Yeah.
You have played a lot of players in the first 3 games. Is that something you talked about how deep you are?
Yeah.
But I mean, there's going to be a point where you're going to start seeing this 8-9 player rotation, kind of as you get deeper into the season. What are you looking for out of these 2
Probably,
games?
yeah. I think we have players that can step up in a moment, though. So I think we can use players in different roles. But as you get into conference play, usually the lineup kind of shrinks a little bit, and you kind of have players fit into their designated roles that you have during those games. But we do have some players that can come in, whether it's 3-point specialty or defensive stops or something that they could fit maybe that role.
All right, Coach, appreciate it.
Thank you all.
Good luck.
Yep. Thank you.
Good luck.
We're gonna pack our parkas.